Well, it's time for Perspective, and this evening we are focusing on what is happening on our roads. The ongoing crackdown by police started yesterday and today as well, and we have seen commuters stranded and traffic operators saying that the government has moved in despite giving them a deadline of until the 12th, and they're saying they need some more time to be able to implement what the government wants. And we will be looking to see just what really is happening. Is this a new law? Is it the existing law? Or what really is happening on our roads? And is this the solution to ending road carnage? And for more insight on this, joining me in studio this evening, I have with us Simon Kumutai, who is the chairperson of the Matatu Owners Association. Thank you for being with us this evening. We also have with us David Kiarie, who is the chairperson of the Road Safety Association. Thank you, David, for joining us this evening. All right, and I want to start with you, Simon. What really is happening on the roads? Why are the Matatu operators not working, and why are commuters stranded?
I think the reason why investors in public transport in Nairobi decided to put their vehicles at a halt is because of the happenings. I woke up on Friday and there was a crackdown, and vehicles were being impounded, and there was no explanation of what was happening. So this exercise started on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was just impounding vehicles. And reasons were not explained. There were no proper reasoning on the acts. And then investors decided to say, we put our vehicles aside to find out what is happening. Are we doing an illegal business? So this prompted people to put their vehicles aside, and unfortunately, it impacted on those who were traveling to their places of work and probably doing their businesses and so forth. So
perhaps what were some of the reasons that the vehicles were being impounded?
Well, they said they were not compliant, and citing the Michuki rules, which of course had been repealed by the courts. There was a court order stopping them at one time. But that is not even a problem to us. It is an invasion and disruption of business is what I would call it. And this resulted in people not getting to their normal economic activities because there was no giving service, in fear that every vehicle would be impounded. So today we decided to seek audience with the police to understand what this crackdown is all about. And besides, what is a crackdown? That's the question. When do you crack down? Because the law is never suspended. The regulations are always there. What is this? And the policemen are every day they are on our roads. What is this something that they are looking for that they have not been seen? Those are the questions we were asking.
David, what is your take on the ongoing crackdown? Do you think it is legit or it is unfair to the operators?
To me, it is really unfair to the operators, because it was very clear from the two CS that the operators have been given 2 weeks to make sure that they are compliant to the Michuki rules. And to be very sincere, we have seen a lot of compliance, because like last week we had a good meeting with the speed governor suppliers, and we agreed that we are going to give our services free of charge. And if you go to all the suppliers, like from last week, Matatus are really complying to the rules. But what I don't understand, even when Michuki was there, he gave these people time. And seriously, nothing was acted till this time was over. Now, what is this hurry of compounding vehicles, and the deadline is not yet over? They've been given time. They are trying to comply. To me, this is another way of trying to extort money from the Matatu people.
Are we then saying that during, perhaps Michuki's time and up to now, there has been no implementation that is going on, or these are new laws, or what really?
There is no new law. These laws have been there.
So why?
And to be very sincere, who failed the Michuki rules? To me, it's not even the Matatu operators. It is the police, because when the Matatus are not properly compliant, that is the time they are able to get more money. So, and if you can remember very well during Michuki time. Michuki had sat with the stakeholders, and they agreed that if the Matatu is compliant, then it is let free to do the business. Now they've been given the 2 weeks. Why can't they let these 2 weeks lapse before starting arresting these vehicles? Now, to me, it means they want to make sure that the compliance is not 100% met. Yeah.
Simon, why do they need, even 2 weeks to comply to a law that has been in existence?
You see, I don't even understand the word crackdown in an area where law has not been suspended and the rules are existing, the safety rules are existing. I don't understand when they talk of crackdown. Policemen who are ensuring compliance are every day on our roads. So when they talk of crackdown, it means they have failed. And one thing that worries me is that the blame comes to public transport operators, as opposed to a person who is not enforcing the law. If everybody behaved like Michuki behaved and ensured that they did their work, we wouldn't be having this problem now, because interests have been developed, and these interests is because of the form of businesses, because in most cases we realize that public transport is a cash business. You have a ride, you pay for it. So that is what has attracted people not to do their work. Policemen want to have money they want to have bribes, not even bribes, it's extortion. Whether you have complied or not, they don't care. Now, we always have a knee-jerk reaction when there is a crash. All this is because of the crash that happened in Kericho for Tenan. And I wonder why there wasn't such a push to ensure that people comply with the regulations. One is that vehicles...
So they have not been complying, you agree to that extent?
Nobody has been checking. You need to check to understand whether it's compliance or not. And, these vehicles are subjected to inspection, annual inspection every year.
Yes.
When they go for inspection, operators make sure that their vehicles are in tip-top condition for it to be able to go through to get the inspection sticker. And then from there could be periodic checks to see whether they probably either the speed governors has been tampered with, or there are no seats, there are any seat belts and so forth. But apparently this doesn't happen. For us, you'll find that a majority of the people have complied. And whether is this what they call crackdown, it doesn't matter whether you've complied or not.
So
it was an issue of stopping vehicles and directing them to a police station. In Eastlands, we had over 250 vehicles on Jogo Road. And other police stations, we had quite a number. And for somebody to stop an economic tool for 3 days is sabotaging. Today, Kenyans suffered because some of them worked, or some of them go to their places of work late, and some of them never go to their places of work. And those who go to their places of work could have paid triple the normal fares they do, because when demand and supply is not equilibrium, there are bound to be, expenses which could be beyond what normally is people undergo.
Okay.
Yeah.
David, we are talking, a lot about the Michuki rules. I mean, what really are we referring to? Because we know Kenyans must be wondering which are these Michuki rules that perhaps we don't know about, because we know it's the seat belts, it's the speed governors, but what really are we talking about?
Let me see the Michuki rules were there. And Michuki rules, vehicles complied to the rules.
And what do these rules entail?
Is this making sure that a vehicle has safety belts, it has speed governors? We used to talk about the uniform of the driver, the conductor, so that the passenger would be able to identify those people who are working in that particular vehicle. And what I don't understand, even in Michuki rules, we were not only discussing about the PSV vehicles. It was the PSV vehicles plus the heavy commercial vehicles, and we were also discussing about the passengers, because if a vehicle is compliant with Michuki, he made sure that if a vehicle is compliant, no police is going to harass the vehicle.
Let's
and
talk
that
about,
is what made even the Matatu people were happy after the implementation of the law.
I think the current crackdown, what we have been seeing a majority of the operators talking about is the tint on the window. Let's talk about that.
One, there are things we are supposed to be discussing about, not about the tint. That does not cause the accident. And this is why I'm trying to say, this is just a way to extract money from the operators. If we are serious, yes, we have been having so many accidents. Okay, already the two SSs have given that Michuki rules must be back. They have given the timeline. What does still have to do with the accident? Let's be sincere that we want to make sure that our roads are safe. If we want, like Michuki did, he had meetings with these operators.
So there's been no meeting between you and government?
There have been no meetings, and this is why you see the CS, the two CS have given the deadline. But are they really following what has been given? In fact, I want to appeal to the same two CSs that their juniors are doing against what they said. Because they said 2 weeks, give these people 2 weeks, and they are complying. I want to tell you that for sure. Because, like me, I do business with governor. And I'm telling you the Matatus today, from last week, that are complying. And the number is too big. Because we first of all say we're not charging them anything. Yeah.
All right. Simon, how long is this going to go on? Because this appears to be, the Matatu operators are saying we'll keep our roads out, our vehicles out, and the police are saying we will continue with this crackdown. So
I remember mentioning that we had a meeting. We had to seek for audience with the IG. And then we ended up having a meeting in the Deputy IG's office, which has called off the crackdown. Because one thing
from tomorrow, the vehicles will be back?
They actually, even people went home comfortably because they were not overcharged, as it is put. And there were enough vehicles to take them back home, just as usual. And so going ahead is that we've urged our members to ensure that they comply with the safety regulations, and that, most of the crackdown was targeting pimped vehicles.
Yes, the ones that had loud music
and so forth. And, I remember during a meeting, I asked the president to allow us to express our feelings and allowing the young artists in Kenya to be able to earn a living by, doing graffiti in these vehicles. And he gave a presidential order to, to allow us to do that. And what he said was, even the tint is okay, apart from areas where it would compromise safety. So, especially for the driver's side. And yesterday there were any tint in a vehicle would make it be impounded. But we have agreed and that this will not go on. What is very important, mostly because it's issues of safety, is having seat belts, in areas where they're supposed to be in a vehicle, and making sure that there is working speed governor. And the rest was just minor defects would be easily taken care of by either charging a person who has allowed that vehicle to go on the road, or the driver. If it's a worn-out tire, they'll charge you for that offense. Looking at it as it is, as opposed to subjecting it to inspection and declaring it defective just because of something that can be replaced. So
this agreement, is it going to hold until the 12th, or that deadline has been extended?
Well, we don't know, you agree, and then when it comes to certain dates, you'll find different things. But I hope.
So in the agreement, there was no definite date on when?
Yeah, we don't understand why we should have crackdowns. Which, as I said earlier on, it shows that there's a lapse somewhere, because a law is supposed to be followed all the time. And that those who are enforcing the law and checking on the vehicles are supposed to be doing it on a daily basis. Apparently, it's not the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the instant fines that every Kenyan is talking about that are supposed to be implemented. Do you think it is going to change how we do business in this country for both the passengers and the operators?
It will change, but also it depends on how it will be executed. Because if they come up with a good way whereby somebody can be just get the ticket, go, pay later, because we have systems, we have technology now. Even if you go to Europe, they use technology. Because with that, now police will not have that chance of getting money. Because why do that person give his money out? Or why does he bribe the police officer? Sometimes it's something, maybe even he has left his driving license. But for that case, he's taken to the police station with all the passengers. So he opts to bribe instead of going all the way the process. But if they can put it the right way, because like you see, we have a problem in this country. And the problem is the enforcers. They are not doing their work. They are now starting to blame other people. Like now, today, ask yourself, why did the Michuki rules fail? It failed because of the enforcers. They slept on their job. Because if they continued working, because this is an existing law, which is still there, ask them, why did they stop checking on these vehicles? Why do they want to check them at random? Start a crackdown, stop vehicles, make sure that our passengers are not going. So if they do it in the right way, then it is going to succeed.
Based on what he's saying, and if we look at what happened to NTSA, do you have faith that this is going to work? What we saw happening with NTSA?
Yeah, we had proposed an instant ticketing mechanism that will not allow a policeman to collect money
on the road.
On the road.
Yes.
This mechanism would allow you to have a ticket and be given a grace period to be able to pay at certain account if you agree with the offense that you have been charged with. And that would have been the only way, because one is that if you commit an offense, or if it's alleged you've committed an offense, you will have either time to look for the money. Instant fines means you must have money.
Yes.
They say it's SMS, M-Pesa. How many people have money in their M-Pesas every day? So we had agitated for lesser fines so that we can pay, as opposed to being given a window by the same police officer will tell you, here you will be fined 5,000. Can you give me 2,000? Kenyans are very good. They're very smart.
Of course,
they'll always look for the easy
less.
option, of course. Yes. And that window is always given to you. But where it is an instant ticket, you will get the ticket. You will have 14 days to settle. If you don't agree, you'll not plead guilty. You'll be given time to go to court. So this at least will, give a blow to corrupt practices on our roads. Our fear is that traffic officers, about 99% of them, go to the road not to enforce the law. They go to the road to collect illegal revenues for themselves. And they do it openly now. It's no longer a secret and everybody knows it. So I think what we need to do is, even if it is this instant fines, then who is supposed to mete it on you? Is the same guy who's always collecting the bribe on the road, or collecting, extorting money from people on the road? So if that does not change, I don't think we will be able to progress well in issues of public transport. Corruption is a dragon that is actually swallowing everybody, not only on our roads, everywhere. And let me tell you this, there is no scandal that has ever happened in this country that is as large as the extortion of money in public transport sector. We pay to the tune of, on a daily basis, 40 million. 40 million multiplied by 365.
So how do we stop it?
The best thing is what we had introduced as Matatu Owners Association, make these vehicles cashless, so that there's no driver who's going to mess.
And why is the implementation taking this long? Because this is something that we keep
We
talking
brought it,
about.
but it was shut down. You know, interested parties, I think what it requires is goodwill from the government side, political goodwill, and find a way that it cannot be interfered. It's only a ticketing mechanism, that ticketing solution that we need.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll have problem. Number two, what needs to happen is to remove traffic officers from our roads. They don't add any value. They don't add any value to road safety. Theirs is to extort money. Completely. We should have patrols instead, than as opposed to having policemen who are static on our roads.
The last time that happened, the traffic officers were removed from the road, the accident happened. Then there was the question once again that we came back to, well, who is going to check the vehicles on our roads? How do we ensure our road safety?
It is not a must that traffic officers must be on the road. And I want to tell you a good example. I can give you a route like Ngong Road, whereby you have police officers in Ngong, you have another roadblock in Karen, you have another one. One Matatu is stopped 5 times just in one trip. And this is what Michuki had removed completely. And this is why we are saying we want to bring Michuki rules. We should come to the table. What made Michuki succeed? First of all, it was to make sure that police officers are not extorting money from the operators. And if you are compliant and your vehicle is compliant, and even if they want to make sure that before the vehicle starts its journey, from the start of that point, that time the vehicle can be checked, and then let the vehicle operate. That means we have removed the corruption on our roads. But as many roadblocks we put, the more corruption, the more these people keep on complaining.
We had hoped that the coming in of circles within Matatus would see them govern themselves. How was that?
But let me tell you one thing first of all. He's talked of cashless. The Road Safety Association came when they introduced the instant fines. We came up with a solution. We even took the solution to them, whereby the police, or not even that police officer, has a tablet with him. And if it is what he wants, he has seen is not right, he just click, and then it goes on the server.
So we have to invest in technology, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, we have to invest in technology. Okay. And if we don't do that and depend on these people, who will be collecting this money in the first place? This money will not even reach to the judiciary. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, from our time is running out, but in terms of regulating yourselves, what happened to that? Why does it seem to be effective?
Now, self-regulation is the key, and is one of the answers to all these problems. Apparently, nobody wants to allow self-regulation. They are because of their interests. SACCO needs to be empowered to be able to revoke even the license of a member who misbehaves. SACCOs should police themselves. They should be allowed to police themselves in a way that they would even fear SACCO officials than even the policemen on the roads. And that is number one. Number two is that when you allow a person to self-regulate, you don't put a policeman again on the road. Then self-regulation loses meaning. Earlier on, we're told we were allowed to self-regulate. How do you say you've allowed me to self-regulate and you are regulating me on the road? Because the law favors you, then definitely mine would not be as, it would be felt nicely. So the other issue is there is, we need passengers to know their rights. Every time there's a crash, we hear of overloading, we hear of the vehicle overspeeding. Passengers should understand their rights, that once they have paid fares, there is a contract between them and that vehicle that's transporting them.
Yes.
And when every time that you sit on a seat that has a seat belt that will allow you to buckle up, and that you need to be taken in a speed prescribed by the law. That is a contract. You can raise voices and say, we do not want to be driven in the speed that you're taking us. We empower the people.
Citizen empowerment.
Yeah.
All right.
But where do the people report? That is a question, because when we were trying to empower
Go back
SACCOs,
to the police.
like let me tell you, when Michuki came, we had only 2 associations. There was his association and the other chairman Bogwa. So all the SACCOs were under those 2 associations. But today, we have so many SACCOs who are just regulated by NTSA. Other SACCOs, even the officials don't have vehicles. So how do you say that SACCOs
can regulate themselves?
They cannot regulate themselves.
But the other question that perhaps as we wind up, I'd want each of you just to speak to it is there's the feeling that, perhaps because government doesn't have, vehicles on the road, there's no, a vehicle that you'd say it's mostly owned by private operators, that you sort of are holding the government at ransom in how you operate. Do you think that is legit?
Let me say one thing, and this one should be understood very clear. If the government want to succeed in the public transportation, because they don't have their vehicles,
public transport, but being given by private sector,
they should be able to sit with the people who own these vehicles, so that they understand each other. And I keep on repeating, that is what made Michuki succeed, because he was able to sit with the operators.
Maybe to give a clarification
just as you
there.
finish up, yes.
Yeah,
the PPPs.
there are best practices. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. In successful operations of public transport in other countries, there is subsidies provided to operators, but this is purely business. My vehicle it all the time has got to feel, it has got to have enough passengers for me to travel.
So you're proposing subsidies if we were to go in that
if
direction.
anything, especially in urban transport, it requires a partnership with the government who can provide subsidies to be able to even remove your vehicle from the city to avoid congestion and allow it to, a smooth ride without necessarily having full passengers in it.
All right. Gentlemen, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you very much for, shedding insight on what are some of the issues and how really we can be able to address them as a country together. Yeah. Of course, we have been talking to the chairperson of the Matatu Owners Association, that is Simon Kumutai, as well as David Kiarie from the Road Safety Association. He is the chair, and of course, the good news is that the Matatus will be operating tomorrow as normally, but of course, these are issues that still will continue to be discussed as we go along. We end up this perspective, but of course, business news is up next.